Okay guys, so it's been quite a while since I've done a cast battle on the casting field with measurements. I think the last one I did was like 8 months ago, where the old and new Bantam destroyed the overrated Zillion 1000. But luckily for us, this past week the temperatures have gone down to an acceptable low 80 degrees. So I decided to take advantage of the lower temperatures and go out to the casting field and put the new Curado M up against the old Curado K, which coincidentally is still on sale at Tackle Warehouse and various other online and brick and mortar retailers. So in this video we're going to see if the new Curado 200M with its taller and lighter and thinner MGL3 spool can beat out the older Curado 200K with a heavier, wider non-MGL spool. Now, I've actually run this kind of battle before with the old versus new METANIUM, as well as the old versus new Bantam, and we'll refer back to those results when I show you the results of these battles. Now, the only lure I casted was this 1/2 ounce frog, the legs trimmed, and I used 40-pound braid, along with a 7'6" extra heavy, extra fast action Major Craft Carolina rig rod. Now the first battle I'm going to show you guys is with both reels set to maximum braking, so that means all 4 brake arms on inside, external dials set to 6, with spool tension set to just minimize side-to-side play. And if you remember and watch the previous video, the new Curado M seemed to outcast the old Curado K by like 20 feet using the same braid and the same frog, but that was using a line counter, which is not very accurate when it comes to precise measurements. So with that being said, let me show you the maximum brake setting cast battle. Okay, so I had no doubt that the new Curado M was going to outcast the Curado K with the brakes turned up to maximum, but the question is, by just how far? What's the real advantage of the Curado M over the K in this brake setting? And as you can see, with both reels maxed out on the brakes, the true average distance advantage for the Curado M is about 13 feet, as it averaged 93.51 feet versus the Curado K's 80.51 feet. So not quite the 20 foot that the line counter measured, but you're still looking at over a 4-yard advantage. And this is that quote-unquote magic trick that I put in the title of the previous Curado video that a lot of people were confused about. So that means if you're the kind of guy that runs your Shimano's or your Curado K with all 4 brakes on inside and all you do is adjust the external dial, running your Curado M the same way will get you an extra probably 10 to 15 feet per cast. So that's the magic trick explained. Now I don't know how Shimano does it, but maybe I'll deep dive into that one day and try to figure it out and do a video on it. But just for now, this seems to be the case with all Shimano reels that upgrade to the newer MGL3 spool. So for example, with the new 2020 METANIUM versus the old 2016 METANIUM, both reels set to max brake. I did a cast battle and the difference was like 10 foot farther for the new METANIUM. And with the new BANTAM versus the old BANTAM, it was huge. I think it averaged like 30 foot farther per cast with both reels set to max brake. So yeah, that's the advantage you're gonna get with the new Curado M and its MGL3 spool. But what about if I were to dial both reels down to their minimum brake setting? What would happen then? Let's find out. Alright, I'm gonna just go ahead and flash the numbers up for you guys, and boom, it looks like the Curado K outcast the new Curado M by about 1 yard when both reels are dialed down to their minimum brake setting, at least with my capacity. And let me go ahead and tell you what the minimum brake settings were for both reels that I could achieve. And it's kind of strange because they were pretty much exactly the same. So since I was running braid, I was able to go down to 1 brake on inside for both reels, and the lowest I could go on the external dial was around 3 for both. But even with a taller and lighter spool, the Curado M barely got edged out by the Curado K. But I believe that was probably going to be the case with the new METANIUM versus the old METANIUM. And with the new BANTAM versus the old BANTAM, the new one, I think it bested the old BANTAM by like 7 feet. So I guess each reel is going to be different. And keep in mind, even though this Curado M MGL3 spool is thinner, it's still much wider than the spools on the METANIUM and the BANTAM. Now I'm going to say that I was shocked by these results, as I expected this new Curado M to just blast out the Curado K. But I'm pretty sure I said in the last video that when I was doing, the free spool test here at home, I wasn't really impressed by the free spooling ability of the Curado M. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check these bearings. I'm going to let you guys check them out as well. So I don't know if you guys can see, there is just a light coat of grease on top of the spool bearing there. That's typical Shimano. It's pretty much on all their reels. Now let's check the other side. So of course I'm gonna have to take off this beautiful spool tension knob. And maybe there's just like some huge hunk of grease underneath this spool tension cap that's preventing this MGL3 spool from spinning at its maximum potential. Well, I mean, I can definitely see grease in there. Let me look at it from not behind the camera LCD screen. I mean, there's a lot of grease there, but that's typical Shimano. That is typical Shimano bearings when you get your reels brand new. So honestly, I think that with more time and casting, this new M will cast farther after it's broken in and loosened up. So for all you guys who are watching this and worried that, you know, the M is getting outcast by the K, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Could be just my reel. And let's not forget, the Curado K was a monster and still is a monster caster. So there we go, guys. The official Curado M versus the Curado K cast battle with measured results. If you're the kind of guy who likes to run all 4 brakes on inside on your Shimanos and just adjust the external dial, then the Curado M is definitely going to be the better caster. So let me know in the comments, does this change your mind about you swapping out all your Curado Ks for the new Curado M? Because literally, I mean, other than the change in the frame and the looks, the only advantage this new M has over the K is going to be that spool. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts. So the next time you see the Curado M, I've decided it's going to go into battle against the Curado DC as well as the Scorpion MGL. And I think we're going to be throwing like a big deep diving crankbait. So all these reels are really going to be able to stretch their legs. Probably going to wait until the weather gets a little bit cooler, but I'm definitely eager to see what the new M does against those reels. Alright guys, thanks a lot.